Fort Ringgold Morgue. The two-story building was built in 1917. The basement served as storage for the bodies of the fallen soldiers. The first floor of the building included offices, and the second floor served as living quarters for the female nurses assigned to the Fort Hospital. The deceased veterans remained in the morgue until they were laid to rest at the Fort Ringgold cemeteries. The burial ground for the white soldiers and their family members was south of the football stadium, while the cemetery for the African Americans were located closer to the river. In 1947, the buried remains were reinterred at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery in San Antonio, Texas. After the closing of the military fort, the building was used for high school, art classes, and teachers' credit union, school offices, and storage facilities. Sign donated by Drs. Margaret Graham and Russell Skowronek for the Community Historical Archaeology Project with Schools program at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. The Fort Ringgold Parade Field was a center of activity during the military phase between 1848 and 1944. Cavalry soldiers held military parades, training exercises, military ceremonies, drills, and arranged their bivouac or temporary camps. A garrison pole, sundial, and a large megaphone were used during the military exercises and were situated on the south side of the parade grounds. The megaphone was used for morning reveille and evening taps for the Fort Ringgold soldiers and the surrounding community. The parade field was surrounded by the hospital, barracks, officers' quarters, provost, marshal, and jail, the non-commissioned officers club, and commanding officer's office. Palm trees, pecan trees, evergreens, and citrus trees line the perimeter of the historic parade field. Local residents have since used the parade field for marching band practice, Little League baseball practice, soccer games, as well as playground for various schools in the area. The Robert E. Lee House. The Lee House was built in 1848 at the home of the commandant or the commanding officer of Ringgold Barracks. It was built on top of a slight knoll with the best view of the post. It was built as a 3-room wood frame with materials brought by river steamboats to the fort. The building was associated with Robert E. Lee, General of the Confederate Army during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Lieutenant Colonel Lee was stationed in San Antonio, Texas with the U.S. Army in 1856 when he visited Fort Ringgold for 1 month to hear a court-martial trial. His diary indicates that he slept in a tent and likely visited the commander in the house. He proceeded to Fort Brown for more hearings. His second visit was in early 1860 when he came to Fort Ringgold with orders to stop the actions of Juan Cortina. Cortina was a Mexican national whose army was stealing cattle from Texas ranchers and driving them across the river to Mexico. Lee's orders included taking American troops to Mexico. Fortunately, this action was not necessary. Records do not indicate where he stayed. However, he likely visited the house to meet with the commander during his 1-week visit. Through the years, additions have been made to the house, including the wraparound porch. After 1948, families lived here and later it was vacated and abandoned. The school district was a federal 21st century grant renovated the house with high school students and a private contractor. The white pine boards, fireplace, and mantle are original. In 2003, the Robert E. Lee House Museum was dedicated to cavalry troops that trained here and kept the area safe. Check this out, guys. You can actually walk up to this one. Wow. There's the front door. You can see inside. It's pretty cool, guys. It's a lot fresher on the front part, on the south end of this port, than it is on the west end. Check it out. Dang, it's so cool. So this is pretty damn cool, guys. This window has been broken. The inside of the house looks pretty cool. It doesn't look like it's worn out or anything like that. So there's a few windows that are broken. The one that's completely broken out is the one that Wedge just showed you right now. There's another one on the other side that you guys saw earlier in the video. That one was pretty good. Check this out. This is the rear of the house. I guess this is like maybe a little shower and outhouse. But it's got a walkway all the way around. It's an all wooden structure. Look at that. You see the great American flag there? Hell yeah. It's around the parade house, the parade grounds. Super cool. Alright, ladies and gents, so away I go. We're gonna go finish driving around the Fort Ringgold. The security officer in the front, I'm not sure I mean, it's a school, right? But I don't think you can actually get off too much, or they don't allow people in, maybe. I'm not sure, because he was kind of hesitant, but he did pretty good. So I'm gonna finish my drive around and then go check out with him. So y'all be safe. I will see you guys in a little bit, all right? If I can get any more video material, then I will. I'll catch you guys in a little bit. The Fort Ringgold Polo Field and Officers Review Stand. The Fort Ringgold Polo Field and Officers Review Stand remains more than 75 years after the last soldiers left Rio Grande City in the early 1940s. Early in the last century, polo was introduced in cavalry forts to improve the riding skills of the soldiers. The game also builds leadership, promotes teamwork, and develops strategical skills. In Fort Ringgold, polo games were organized between the teams of Fort Brown and Fort McClintosh and a local team. Games were played on weekends with local citizens invited to view the games. The high-ranking officers would sit on the stand during the week. The field was used by soldiers to practice maneuvers and strategies on horseback. In 1926, Miss Blink Thomas, daughter of Colonel C.O. Thomas, told cavalry commander of Fort Ringgold, taking post and rail jumping of 5 feet, the most difficult a horse can be called upon to make. Nice. And she made it happen. Awesome. ladies and gentlemen, we are here back at the parade field. Hurricane Beulah, 1967, Fort Ringgold Disaster Relief Center. President Lyndon B. Johnson's presidential helicopter landed on the parade grounds of Fort Ringgold in Rio Grande City, Texas on September 28th, 1967. Shortly after Hurricane Beulah, President Lyndon B. Johnson, shown center, toured the grounds of Fort Ringgold, Texas following Hurricane Beulah. He visited the Rio Grande Valley to survey the damage left by the hurricane. The U.S. Army and the U.S. Public Health Service provided evacuee support. Army and medical personnel prepared to transport 2 men on stretchers to a packaged disaster hospital following Hurricane Beulah. It was set up by the U.S. Public Health Service at Fort Ringgold to care for victims of the hurricane. U.S. Army helicopters provided transport to the refugees from Mexico. Thousands of Mexican citizens fled their country due to flooding by the hurricane. The refugees arrived the day before and were housed in Fort Ringgold school buildings. Mexican refugees began returning to their homes via Army helicopters on October 2nd, 1967. Fort Ringgold Evacuee Center. Barracks classrooms used as children's medical ward for the emergency, as well as dorms by the evacuees. The schools were officially closed for 3 weeks to allow for normalcy. Hospital staff transported twin babies inside cardboard boxes. They were brought to the Army hospital after Hurricane Beulah and were later transported via Army helicopter to other area hospitals for treatment. Residents, refugees of the Rio Grande City stand in the parade field surrounded by laundry hanging from makeshift clotheslines. Hurricane Beulah evacuees waited in line to receive food aid at an Army field kitchen in the fort. It says President Lyndon B. Johnson, Hurricane Beulah, September 1967. I have unfortunately had to observe a good many disasters of this and other natures. Hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, fires, and so forth. Since I have been president, I have never seen one where the people were more cooperative and more understanding of the problem confronting them. We are sorry this had to happen, but we are thankful that we have lost as few lives as we have. President Lyndon B. Johnson, 1967, after inspection of damage from the Hurricane Beulah. Bugle calls. Today, Fort Ringgold continues its bugle calls through an electronic sound system that plays a digital bugle call version on time, reminding visitors of the bugle calls once played and heard throughout the fort. The post-Berg bugler would soundpost wide bugles such as first call, reveille, and retreat with the use of the megaphone. The sound would be louder and carry further than otherwise possible. First call. It is also known as the call to post, 0759 or 7:59 a.m. Reveille, 0800 or 8 a.m. Signals the troops to awaken for morning call. In the U.S. Army, it accompanies the raising of the flag, thus representing the official beginning of the new day. 1200 hours or noon. Mess call is a bugle call which signals time to go to the mess. 1700 or 5 p.m. Retreat, formerly used to signal troops to retreat, now used to signal the end of the official day. In the U.S. Army, it signaled right before to the colors. To the colors, used to render honors to the nation. It is used when no band is available to render honors, or in ceremonies requiring honors to the nation more than once. To the colors commands all the same courtesies as national anthem. The most common use of to the colors is when it is sounded immediately following retreat. During this use of the call, the flag is lowered. 20:45 or 8:45 p.m. Tattoo signals that all light in squad rooms be extinguished and that all loud talking and other disturbances be discontinued within 15 minutes. 2100 hours or 9 p.m. Taps signals that unauthorized lights are to be extinguished. This is the last call of the day. The call is also sounded at the completion of the U.S. military funeral.